Hi, it's Susan Reynolds here from Make and Craft Studio, and I'm so excited to be joining you on the Ranger Ink channel today. So I'm going to show you today how to use Perfect Pearls two different ways on your cards, and I'm also going to add in the 2-layer stenciling as well as some heat embossing. For today's card, I'm going to be using the Stark White Cardstock by Hurley, and I'll use that for my card front. I'm also going to be using the 2-layer stencil. This one is the Geo Circles stencil. And then for my stamp set, I'm going to be using the Halftone Holidays, and this one's by Hurley as well. I'll also be using the Artist Brush set from Ranger, and this is a great set to have in your stash because there's so many different sizes in this set that are very useful. And then for my inks, I'll be using Archival ink in Olive as well as in Magenta hue. I'm also going to be using some embossing ink today as well. And then for my Perfect Pearls, I'm going to be using the pink Gumball as well as the Zinnia. And then for my embossing powders, I'm going to use the Raspberry Tinsel. And I'm very new to the Tinsel line, and so I can't wait to show you how that works. And then I'm also going to be using the gold. So I'm going to get started first with my card background or my card front. And so for this one, I'm just going to stencil it using the Geo Circles. So what I've done is I've cut my paper down to 5.5 by 4.25 so that it will fit the front of an A2 size card. And then I'm going to bring in the Magenta hue Archival ink, and I'm just going to stencil in, and all I'm going to worry about is stenciling around the edges because the center is going to be covered up. So I'm just going to focus on stenciling this pink in around the edges, just to add a little frame to my card. Now, I really love the pink and green combo for Christmas. It's kind of new to me. I always loved the red and greens and kind of stuck with the basic Christmas colors in the past. But this year I've been seeing a lot of pinks, and so it's really sparked me to start creating some cards using the pinks and greens together. So I thought today it would be fun to just pull in these colors for a Christmas card. I still will go back to using some of the basic colors for holidays for some of my other cards, but I thought this was a lot of fun today. So it's always fun to branch out into different colors for different holidays. Thinking of colors that you typically wouldn't use for the holidays, it's fun to see what you can create with those. So now I'm bringing in the second layer for that stencil. And what I want to do is I want to make sure that I'm lining it up so that this is the centers for those circles. So I want to make sure that I look over the whole entire card and make sure I have this straight and have it lined up so that those centers are in the perfect center of each of the circles. So it takes a moment to line it up, but you want to take that little extra time to make sure that you get your stencil laid out just right so that you can get your centers perfect. So now I'm going to bring in the Archival ink in Olive, and I'm just going to stencil in the centers for these circles. And I thought that this Magenta hue and the olive ink went together really well. I thought that was very pretty. You could use this colors on a birthday card as well. You know, it doesn't just have to be for Christmas, but I'm really getting in the Christmas mood to create cards, and it's really time to start getting all of our Christmas cards made. So hopefully today's video will inspire you to get started on your Christmas cards. So once again, I'm just focusing on the outer edges because I only need this as a frame, and you'll see when I pull the stencil off that the center is going to be white. I really went a little further in than I needed to, but I wanted to do a little extra so that when I went to put my card together, I was sure to have enough color that there wasn't any white space when I add the layer on top. And I think it's always fun to pull back the stencil once you get done. So for the reveal, so here is the reveal for this one. And that looks absolutely gorgeous. I love this stencil. So I'm just going to set this aside to dry, which is pretty much dry now, but I'm just going to set it aside and work on the front of my card. So the next layer of my card, I have cut down to 3.25 by 4.25. So I'm pulling in the pine needle stamp, and I just want to layer it on one side of my card. So I am using my stamping platform to help me line it up And so I'm just kind of layering it up the edge so that it kind of looks like you're seeing the edge of a Christmas tree. I'm also thinking about where I'm going to put the ornaments on the front of this. So I am making sure that I leave enough space to stamp my ornaments onto the front of this piece as well. This stamp set has so many options. It's endless possibilities with it. So I had a lot of fun creating this card, and I am looking forward to creating more cards with this stamp set because there's so many images in it. You could create so many different designs. So this is just one idea today. So now I'm going to bring in the ornament stamps from the stamp set, and I'm just going to layer them up onto the front of this piece. And you can see here, that's why I left a little bit of space there for my ornament. And then I'm just going to add the second ornament as well. So for the ornaments, I am going to be using embossing powder with those. So I'm bringing in the embossing ink and to stamp those onto this layer of my card. So I like to just bring in a piece of scrap paper that I've been practicing stamping on or just laying over to the side. I lay my card onto it and then add my embossing powders. So this is the raspberry tinsel, and it has glitter in it. I really love the look of this. I think that it made these ornaments look 3D. And so you can see on the ornaments there, you can see some little specks and things, but that is in the image of the ornament. So what I'm going to do is just the extra embossing powder that is stuck around the card, I'm just using my paintbrush to kind of wipe it off, and then I'll blow on it a little bit to get the extra little pieces off. And some of the embossing powder also stuck to my pine needles. So I'm just going to take my brush and I'm just going to brush those off. I had to think for a second though. I really liked how it looked in the pine needles because you really could leave it there and it kind of add a little bit more sparkle. So I decided to take my paintbrush and just brush that off of the pine needles. I decided I didn't want any embossing powder on that. And then I'm just going to heat emboss this one. Now this one's a little harder to see as it changes. Some of the embossing powders, it's really easy to see as it changes. This one is a little harder to see on camera, and in person I think it's a little harder to see, so you have to really pay attention. Because of the sparkle of it, it makes it a little bit harder to see. But you just take your time and heat emboss it and it turns out really pretty. So once I have it embossed, I'm going to come back with the string. And this is like the little string that holds the ornaments on the tree. So I'm just going to stamp those on there as well. And then I'm going to bring in my gold embossing powder to color in the little ribbon that holds the ornament on the tree. And so I'm going to be really careful with this not to get it on my ornament and just to get it on the string. And then I'm just going to clean any bits off that got onto my paper. I'll just use my paintbrush again to brush those off. And then I'm just going to add heat to the embossing powder. And you can see here the gold changes really fast. It's just a small amount, so it doesn't take long to emboss it. But you see that metallic look once I get done. I really love how that looks. Now it's time for our perfect pearls. So I'm going to bring in the perfect pearls. And I'm just going to take a little bit, and this is an old stamping block that I have, and I use it for to add my inks or paints to for my splashes. So I'm going to bring in the pink Gumball Perfect Pearls and just add a little bit of that powder. And then I'm also going to bring in the Zinnia Perfect Pearls and add some powder onto my block as well. But I'm keeping those separate. I don't want those to touch because I want to keep the colors separate, and we're going to add just a little bit of water to those and create some splashes. So I'm going to start out with the Zinnia, and this is more of the green color, and I'm just going to add splashes. Once I mix it in with the water, I'm just going to add splashes to the front of my card. So I'm adding the splashes because I felt like the splashes add just like a little bit of glow and it makes it feel like more Christmassy, like there's lights in the background. So then I'm just coming in with the pink splashes as well and just splashing those. I'm splashing them everywhere. I'm not worrying about it getting on the ornaments or the tree. I just want those splashes everywhere. So once I have the splashes like I like them, and what I'm doing also, I didn't mention, but as you can see, I'm using 2 different brushes, and that is so I don't mix my colors. So you want to choose 2 brushes so you don't mix up your colors. You can see here, those aren't just your normal splashes. They have a shine to them just like Perfect Pearls does. So it gives a little glistening effect to it, which enhances it more, just like it is the Christmas lights in the background. So then I'm just going to come in with the pink gumball again. And instead of inking the edges, I'm going to add the pink gumball Perfect Pearls. Now, if you keep wiping, you're going to wipe it all off. So that's one of the great things about it too, is you're not stuck with it on there. You can wipe some off. So I start a little dark and then I work it, off the edge until I get a light pink look to it. So I'm kind of just sort of inking the edges with it, but not getting it really dark. I just want a hint of pink in the background there as well. And this is going to add a little bit of shine as well. So you can see it's kind of hard on camera, but in person it's really, you can see more of the pink in the background. It's kind of like I've inked it, but lightly inked it. So now you can see here, you can slightly see it, but in order to get it to stay, you're going to have to spray some water on it. And so that water will set it so that it is permanent onto your card. Then I gave this layer time to dry. And so once it's dry, I'm just going to add it to the front of my card. And I really love how these ornaments look. They just have such a 3D look to them. I've also gone ahead and stamped the Merry Christmas sentiment. And I am adding that to my card as well. And so I just fussy cut that out with my scissors, just cutting around the sentiment. And I'm adding that to the top of the card. And so our card is complete. I want to hold it up so you can see all that shine and glitter. I love the glitter in the red raspberry tinsel. And then the splashes, I don't know if you can see on camera, but I'm trying to angle it so that you can see the shine that it has. And then the edges have that little bit of shine as well. I hope today's card has given you some inspiration to get out your supplies and follow along and create with me. And thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye.